Hey guys, Darren here. Welcome to Mayhem Country Living, and we are live. Hope you guys are doing okay wherever it is that you are, and we'll try to do a little bit more on the water filtration this evening because there's actually a lot to cover, and we'll see. I made a bunch of notes and got a lot of information, and let's see. We got one person on here. They got bumped off. I may get to a point where I don't do any ads on these live streams just because it would seems like it would make it better. Hey Sandy, how are you doing this evening? Hope you're doing okay. Are you feeling better? Good job. Glad you're doing better. It's been kind of a long day here. I'm still up in Tennessee. Went from one place to another place, and oh my goodness, I will be glad to lay down in the bed this evening because it has been a long day. But I figured I'd get on here and sit down and talk. So much of the water purification or water filtration, types of water filters, I mean, there's a whole lot of information. And I figured I would start over and break it down into small bites and start out with just disinfecting water, which is about the dullest prepping thing I can think of. But you got to have it. Sitting here drinking. Oh yeah. In this in between, winter and spring to where you're getting ready to start doing like for me, planting stuff and starting seeds and everything. It is really, there's always something to do. And then you do so much that when you get a minute just to sit down, you're like, I just don't want to do anything else. I just want to sit down for a minute. And then, a minute becomes 15. But, sometimes you need to. Sometimes you just need to do that, to veg. Well, I know me and you's on here. And let's see. I was going to hang around for a couple of more people to begin, but I'll go ahead and let's look at, and I made like I said, I made a lot of notes on my phone here. Disinfecting water. And we may have covered this a little bit. Hey, Doc, how are you doing this evening, buddy? Hope you're feeling all right. Doc Falcon, this was your brainchild. So you wanted to talk about water and disinfecting and treating and all that stuff. So this is a little bit much, but we'll get through it. Glad you're doing okay, buddy. If you have water that you've collected off of your roof or out of a creek or a stream or anything like that, how would you disinfect it? There is all kinds of different ways. And we're not actually talking about putting it through a filter, putting it through one of the mechanical, like the Berkey or the Royal Dalton or the Aqua Pures or the Grail or the Sawyer or the Life Straw. I mean, we're not going to talk. Yeah, we're not going to talk about those right now. If you got a bucket of water out of the creek by your house or off of your gutter, is it safe to drink? Yeah, yes, sir. Actually, we're going to get into that if my phone will quit. There we go. It is a lot. Um, why would you want to purify the water? Obviously, you need it. You need pure, clean drinking water for yourself, for your critters, for hydration. Living my best life at 60. Hey, how are you doing? Thank you for coming by. Come on in. And what we're going to try to do is understand the importance of filtering the water or purification, because there is a difference, and making sure that you have enough to do what you need to. In all the prepping books, they'll say a minimum you need 1 gallon of water. That's not a lot. That is not a lot. That's mainly just for your body's needs. We're not talking about hygiene or anything at that point. But a minimum of 1 gallon of water a day. Most of us drink that much just roundabout while we're doing everything. And water is, you have to have it. It's one of the most critical things for your body. It lubricates, it regulates your temperature, homeostasis. It aids in digestion. Yes, sir. That's a good way to do it. You don't want the first run because there's always the birds that poop on there. So you have to you need to think about that. And we're going to try to figure out what's a good way to filter the water that you have, whether it's from your creek, uh, from your roof, or just water that you've collected and stored. Maybe it's still not that safe. But yeah, um, there are bacterias, there are viruses, there are parasites, and there's chemical contaminations, all from the environment. Just everything from the roof runoff to the agricultural runoff to the creek that you're trying to get the water out of. I mean, it is a daunting task to get good, clean, potable water for you and your family and for your critters as well, because to a degree, they are a little more hardy, but they still need clean, fresh drinking water. There's all kinds of different ways to purify the water. You can boil it, bring it to a rolling boil, and they say a rolling boil. Yeah. Yeah, the critters like it too. Bring it to a rolling boil, and that will kill most everything in it. but there are steps you need to take because there could be more than just bacteria in the water contamination, whether, again, where it's a pesticide, agricultural runoff, industrial runoff, just from car exhaust and everything. So that's something you really need to look at doing. And how would you want to go about doing it? It can be as extensive as you want to make it. It can be very meticulous, but you will really get a good return if you take your time and everything. And we're not going to talk about right now about the UV stuff or anything like that, or reverse osmosis, anything that really requires a lot of electricity. We're just going to look at, okay, boiling the water. Um, that's a good way, and that'll kill most all the bacteria, some of the viruses, and some of the protozoas. The ones that are in North America, just the boiling can take care of that. How long would you boil it? I would bring it to a rolling boil. That would be that it comes up and it boils just for a few seconds, and then you can turn it off. And they say that is good. Um, some people say if you pasteurized it, which would be bring it up to a temperature. Now you could hard boil it, and it wouldn't hurt anything. If you have a limited amount of fuel, that could be problematic. But I mean, if you felt like you needed to, I think that would be unnecessary. We can do a little bit of research and find out. From what I've read, though, just up to a rolling boil for a minute, and then bring it down, and that will kill most of the bacteria. That's the living stuff, but that won't do anything about like pesticides or anything like that. You're going to have to at least start off with like a carbon filtration system. Um, and again, like if you're going to do like the chlorine, the Clorox, it can help, but chlorine is not going to remove any other chemicals. And that's the same with iodine, if you're going to do it that way, or the other water purification tablets. It's it's not going to remove any of the chemicals or anything like that. So, at the bare minimum, I would say to filter it, whether it is through, okay, just something like this, a pre filter to catch any of the big sticks and twigs, stuff like that, and then boil the water. And that way, that is a good start on the water. Once you do that, there's a lot of other things that can be hanging out in the water. Again, like uh, certain viruses, certain protozoas. Uh, Most of that stuff is really not that prevalent here in North America. Now, if you're down in South America, or across the water or anything like that, there's a lot more to contend with. At a bare minimum, you want to boil it and filter. Sharks, sharks in the water. I would definitely boil the water if there were sharks in it. Absolutely. And Doc says basic stuff is told 10, 15 minutes, and stir it while boiling. Um, Absolutely. Yes. All of the microplastics The stuff that you see from like the Tide Pods that have that dissolving plastic, well, it goes somewhere. It goes back into the water system. Um, I know it's okay, Sandy. I was thinking sharks in the water. You know, if you boiled your water, it would probably prevent any kind of sharks. I agree. I think Sandy had a good point. Um, but there's a lot of different things. Yeah. Um, but there's a lot of different things that you need to contend with in addition to just boiling the water, running it through a pre-filter. Uh, shark poop would taste too great. No, it probably would not. Back years ago when I was younger, I used to do a lot of camping uh, up in the Smokies, and I would carry like a just a metal pot, and I would about half the time I'd boil the water, and I would take my red bandana and you know get a bunch of water and filter out all the twigs and the sticks and the leaves and all that stuff, and then I'd boil the water and I'd make my coffee and cook with it and everything. And bathing, you just bathe. Um, yeah, you're going to need to use a really good filtration system, um, whether it is, and there's a lot of different ones. Aquapure is one, Berkey, Royal Dalton, and they all use these cartridge chemical filters that filter out uh, agricultural runoff, all the other different things, uh, pesticides. Another big concern is pharmaceuticals that have made it into the water system. So that's something you want to deal with and look out. Lead, chlorine, fluoride. And it's kind of ironic because you're filtering out the chlorine, but you use chlorine to filter water. Um, yeah, and some of this new stuff, these forever chemicals is or what they call them. There's really not a filtration system. Maybe maybe distillation that would remove them, and that would be where you would boil the water or have it evaporate and collect and then run down into a different reservoir. I mean, that's involved. Um, but the thing would be to make sure on at least the basic level that the water you get is at least pre-filtered and boiled. And that will take care of a lot of things. Now, some of these people are going to say, well, what about all the chemicals? Well, it is less than ideal. All of these chemicals that we're being exposed to in the water, but coming down with some kind of really bad diarrhea is a lot more worrisome than long-term exposure to a chemical. So you have to kind of pick what you're looking for. Now, at the house, we have a Berkey that has, and well, two. I call them everything filters because it filters out dang near everything. And I'd have to be home and look at the list. I save the boxes, and I've got extra replacements, and it shows what all it filters out. Um, and my biggest concerns having grandkids are the lead, the chlorine, the fluoride, because you don't need that in your water. Add pesticides, pharmaceuticals, um, and a whole lot of different other petroleum distillates, that kind of stuff. And it filters those out and gets really good water. And we use it for everything from the ice trays to the coffee maker to the tea. Um, Doc just said I live down in Florida, where I know down in Florida where I was raised over Lowing Lake, Okeechobee, into the St. Lucie River that goes out to the Atlantic. So it's going to be tons of chemicals dumped in there. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And they have even done tests on a random sampling of people. They've drawn blood and have detected large amounts of Roundup in in the blood. That is stuff that's been ingested. Now, some of it could have been absorbed, so that really wouldn't be ingested, but some of it would have been absorbed. But a lot of that's in the water. Um, ag runoff, agricultural runoff uh, from like farms, golf courses, sides of the road. These are big things. And while the earth can really do a whole lot to heal and remedy itself, we're pumping a lot of stuff down in there. And it's, well, it's the corn farmers, um, it's the potato farmers, everybody else that it's the people that spray their hay fields because they spray them with Grazon, and then it rains and you get the runoff, and then Grazon, and then Roundup, all the different ones. So I mean, there's a lot to say. I mean, we're already in almost 25 minutes, and we're just now touching the tip of this. Um, but it's just a problem, and you got to have it. That's the thing. You need it. Your critters need it. Your plants need it. If you had a system to collect rainwater off of your roof, be it a metal roof or an asphalt shingle roof, somebody is going to say, oh my God, you're poisoning people. And as long as you filtered that, my thought is that would be better than the water that comes out of your pipes. As long as you had a good filter, like again, an Alexa Pure, a Berkey, a Royal Dalton, and and also they use the same interchangeable ceramic and carbon filters. Um, as long as you had something like that, and you need to know what you're trying to filter out, um, because some of them will even filter out radioactive particles. Now, if the water's been radiated, it would not filter that out. But I mean, it is a lot to go into. At the basics, chlorine, I would have pool shock or chlorine, unscented, none of the clumping chlorine, and then I would have iodine, and I would have some water purification tablets, and that would go a long way to getting you where you needed to be. Okay, unscented, ordinary household chlorine bleach, 5 to 6% sodium hypochloride, 1 to 2 drops of chlorine bleach to 1 quart of water. Mix well and wait 30 minutes before drinking. And I've done this, and I will tell you, you need to get some kind of sport powder drink mix or something like that, or use that for coffee, because it will taste bad. It will taste like chlorine. And actually, chlorine is one of the things I'm trying to filter out. But I'd much rather drink chlorine water than I would to get dysentery if a situation like that arose. Um, Iodine, just regular household iodine in the little bottle, 2% iodine solution, 5 to 7 drops of iodine to 1 quart of water. Mix well and wait 30 minutes before drinking. And I'll tell you, I've done this too. This is worse tasting than the chlorine water, but it will be safe to a point. It will be disinfected. Um, always use the recommended amounts and wait to ensure effective disinfection. These methods may not remove other contaminants. That's what I was telling you, like heavy metals or particles from the water. Be sure to test the water quality and use additional treatment methods if necessary. Wow. I would probably do, the whatever method you have, and I would let it sit, and then I would probably let it sit in the sun. If you have a clear bottle, I mean, if you have something like this, it wouldn't work, but just a clear water bottle, and let the sun distill it even further. It is sandy, and it tastes terrible. Um, let's look back at how much. Yeah, 5 to 7 drops of iodine for 1 quart of water, or 1 liter. Yeah, and it tastes terrible. I do have a Stanley. Yeah, it's an old Stanley though. Mine's all scratched up. See, this is the kind of stuff I use this because it sits. Yep, and this was $30. I bought it before everybody started going crazy about Stanley Cups. Might have been 35. I don't know. It's a good insulated thing. I don't know why people are crazy about the Stanley things. The coffee pour over system that I have is a Stanley. And again, it costs like 35 bucks. So, I mean, it's not like a super duper thing. I think we should wrap up this right here, just talking about disinfecting water, because purifying and filtering are different. So with just these three, the water filtration tablets, basically, depending on the brand, you're going to drop one of them into a quart of water, shake it up, and let it sit for half an hour, and that will disinfect the water. And yes, that water tastes terrible too. Again, those sports drinks, the little pouches that you pour in the lemonade or whatever, you will do very well to have those things, because the water that you do this way, that you disinfect this way, it tastes terrible. And long term, it's not good for you. It's really not that much of a chlorinated or that much iodine in the water. It's not good for you. This is It's a short term fix. A lot of people aren't going to say that, um, but you wouldn't want to use that stuff because again, these are chemicals, and the more expensive filtration systems are actually filtering this stuff out, but you're using it just to disinfect. Um, I was in doing this research. I was looking at whole house systems that have a 3 cartridge system, and you just hook it in line and everything, and they're really cool. 100 bucks, and you get your first 3 cartridges, and then it's like 70 or 80 bucks. Uh, how often you feel like you need to use. So there's a whole lot to this, but you got to have the water. Um, on average, they say 3 days. I've said I've gone 18 hours, which is about a day and a half, without water, and it wasn't pleasant. Um, hey, prepping artist, how you doing? Um, it wasn't pleasant, and I could not function on the level that I was used to functioning on, just because I was always thinking about when is this clock going to stop so I can get something to drink. Um, but you need to set in and have a good way to treat your water. Um, how much water should you store? Holy cow, I don't know. How many people's in your house? They say, I've been told 1 gallon of water per day. I think that's a bunch of crap. I would look for 3 gallons of water a day, because you're going to drink some and you're going to use some to wash your butt and cook your food. So that's, I would say 3 gallons a day per person. I don't care if it's a child or an infant. I don't know if you could give them any more, but an infant's going to need a whole lot of constant liquid. Yeah, absolutely. Prepping artist, you beat me to that. So I would say at least 3 gallons of water a day for a healthy person. For someone who is compromised, a medical condition, something like that, you might need more. Um, and definitely for your pets. Okay, I got 3 German Shepherds. Good grief. They'll go through 20 gallons of water 2 days, something like that. Because we, have the thing on the front porch and wash it out and then fill it back up. That's 20 gallons of water. And if you have chickens and all that stuff, chickens drink a lot of water. We don't have any chickens right now. Well, we got one, but we don't have a whole lot of chickens right now. We used to have like 150. Um, so that's something to really consider. Your cats. What do you have as far as your garden? Um, and that's just bare minimum. That's not washing your butt in a tub either. That's just, what did we call them years ago? Hoe baths. That's just taking a hoe bath right there, scrubbing yourself down with baby wipes. So water is going to be pretty critical. Now we keep 100, keep 255-gallon barrels of water, fresh water in the basement. And then I keep about another 30 or 40 outside. So I have 140 gallons of fresh water, like have to have it right now. We got a pool, and I've got the filters to filter all the chlorine and everything out of it. And that's 8,000 gallons. And then we have a little bit, I'm working on a rain catchment for the roof. Um, that's what hospitals do now, baby wipes. Yeah, yeah, yes, sir. Um, but however much water you think you need, double it, and you might be there. Um, we've all got the bug out bags and all that stuff, and I've got you know, I've got 4 or 5 different bags, but most of the bags I have 2 liter camel packs built into them. Okay, that's 2 liters. Um, a gallon of water is 7 point something pounds, 8 pounds. A gallon of water is 8 pounds, and 2 liters is half a gallon roughly. So that's 4. You can drink that walking 5 or 6 miles, and you got to have water. You got to have a way to filter it. You got to have a way to renew your supply, whether it is runoff and or a well. Ideally, that'd be fantastic. Or city water works to a degree, or county water, whatever it is, and everything. But you got to have it. There's no other thing. Food. You can scramble by with no food for a while, but the water is going to be critical. If you know where a creek is, or an area where you can get water, that's fantastic. Um, Marking the location and knowing where it is, and then having a way to pre-filter and purify or filter that water is really going to go a long way. It's going to be critical. Again, you get it off your roof, whether it's a metal roof or an asphalt shingle roof. Yes, it might have some contaminants in it, but you can at least purify it to start that point. And I know all of my friends, we have done stills in the past. Um, a still is fantastic because you can, well, okay, you can drink it. It's medicinal. Um, you can run a vehicle with it if you do it properly. But if you take everything out and you just put in contaminated water, you can distill the water, and all of a sudden you have a way to have clean, pure water, provided you have a heat source, a way to get it going. And that you might have a solar still, and there are those that are out there. Live 3 to 4 days without food or water. Um, I think you can go a couple of weeks without food in a perfect situation. Now you're not up running doing stuff. I mean, you're starving. You're dying slowly. But yeah, water is a much bigger concern. The rule of threes is 3 minutes without air, 3 minutes, or 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. That's the rule of threes. And somewhere in there is shelter. Depending on what kind of location you're in, shelter could be your first one. Um, hey, this is my cup. This is my cup See, I got a creeper on here. That's my wife. This is my cup, but I'm just using it to spit my tobacco in. It makes a good spit cup because it's so big. But your wife bought it. You're my wife, lady. Hang on, let me catch up. A little longer with just water. Hodges says he's a walking Snickers commercial. He gets hangry. I tell you what, it took me a long time to get adjusted. I only eat once a day. It took me a long time to get adjusted to eating once a day now. And if I do something really strenuous, if I'm planning on it in the morning, I have to eat something in the morning too, because I just can't, like going to work and doing the things that I do. I can do that all day, and then eat something when I get home. When I get finished, I went and got me some crackers a while ago, and I'm probably gonna have a big bowl of chili out of a can. So I'm not even gonna do a video of it, and maybe some tortillas. But when I eat in the evenings, and this is a lot, I'll eat 1,500 calories, maybe 2,000 calories in one meal. Um, so when I sit down and eat in the evening, I eat a lot, um, and it's mostly protein, unless it's ice cream, and then it's heaven. Um, and my wife says that, oh yeah, is that my cup? Yes, yes, it is your cup. For those of you that don't know, Sarah Tater is my wife. That's the hooch, Shauna, the one. Well, I guess I could block her if I wanted to, but I'm not. Um, Thanks, Doc. I appreciate it. It seemed to happen naturally to eat once a day. That was after I didn't have to cook for the family. Yeah, a lot of people roll back into that kind of schedule. It's and I know some people have medical conditions where they need to eat something with medication every day. But I'll start out my day with I drink coffee. I drink black coffee. I'll drink 3 or 4 cups of black coffee, and then I'll drink water throughout the day. And then in the evenings, I'll drink. Usually, if I'm home, I'll drink unsweetened tea, and and then I'll have a big meal. And when we're talking about a big meal, it's a meal. Um, and so that's kind of how we do it. Now that my wife, she's still on a regular diet, and if I fix something, in the morning, I'll have a bite of it. But um, yeah, it does. It really does. Some people use butter in their black coffee. Don't let me finish telling you. They call it bulletproof coffee, and you put um, a pat or a slice of butter in your hot black coffee, and it melts, and you drink the coffee, and then you go about your day. Um, for people who do keto, I do mostly keto. I still um, do my regular stuff, but yeah, Hodges, absolutely, absolutely prepping artist. You got to have coffee and good coffee, and you definitely want good coffee. I like to eat early in the day. Just don't feel like eating much lately. I understand. Um, Bacon is keto. Absolutely, Doc. Yes, sir. Cheese, cheese curds. The last little ones I had, cheese curds are keto too. Uh, Protein. Um, that's what I do. That was a snack, I guess. Um, but yeah, um, half a pinch of salt in mine reduces the bitterness of black coffee a touch and brings out more of the flavor. I have heard that. Yeah, I have heard some people like put 3 or 4 shakes if they're doing like a percolator of coffee. They put 3 or 4 shakes on top of the coffee grounds and it perks through it and does it that way. Yes, I know, Doc. Yes, I found those. I was cleaning out the freezer before I left, and I thought, "Holy cow! I still got a bag," and so I brought it, and I've been eating on it because that's a good snack while you're driving. Or peanuts, nuts, peanut butters, um, that kind of stuff. That goes along with kind of like the keto or protein or carnivore. Um, Basically, you're just trying to limit. You're trying to eat good, healthy fats. I eat a lot of fat. I eat good, healthy fats. I eat bacon grease. I eat butter. I eat healthy fats. And yeah, yeah, eggshells. Yep. And because I believe in a ketogenic lifestyle. And this is a whole different thing. And my doctor had thought I'm an idiot, but he looks at me and he's like, your cholesterol's perfect. I'm like, well, yeah. Um, and he says, what do you eat? And I tell him, and he's like, that's horrible. I said, just good genetics then. He said, I guess it is. Um, but I eat a very high fat, healthy fat diet, avocado, oils. Okay, if it's seed oils, you really don't want to do it. Like if you're talking about sunflower seed, peanut oil, um, you really want to stay away from that. And it's an expensive diet to live by, but you can do whatever. Um, Pork, I ate I ate a pound of pork last night, and I had a pound of chicken breast, and the beans, uh, and that was one meal. I ate all of that at one sitting, um, and that was dinner. So that's kind of how I eat. I eat once a day, but when I eat, by God, I might eat 2 steaks at once, not at a restaurant because I'm not going to pay that much, but I'll fix. The hooch and I will fix us a couple of steaks. Although, since she has been dealing with her, she can't uh, do a whole lot with beef right now. I have really gotten to where I don't eat that much beef either. It's more pork, nice lean pork, and I just said unless I'm making biscuits, love biscuits made in peanut oil. I have huh, never heard that before, Hodges. I'll have to, unless I'm making biscuits. Okay, love biscuits made in peanut oil. Are you using that in the recipe, or are you like putting it in the pan to so that it don't stick? I guess you're putting it in the recipe. That's really interesting. I use lard or butter. And in the video that I did, I used that was butter, and I didn't cut it up in there. I just melted it and poured it in there. That's very interesting. Oh, and I did use bacon grease on top of the biscuits. Um, but that's just you know my my blood work is better than my doctor's, and he said I just don't know. I'm like, well, you know, I was telling you. Now, Shauna, my wife, peanut is not in the. It's actually a legume. Yeah, it is, Sandy. Um, Shauna cannot eat the diet that I eat, my wife, because her cholesterol and blood pressure just skyrocket from that stuff. So again, it could just be genetics or hereditary. I'm I'm Irish, Native American, and I don't know what she is. Um, so I mean, it could be a whole lot that genetics has to play in there. You make the cornbread biscuits. So you actually use like a white cornbread and flour. Now we do that when we're doing cornbread. The hooch makes kind of like half and half, or maybe one third, two-third cornmeal, one third white flour, something like that. All-purpose flour, rather. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Um, and yeah, those are good. Those are good. Um, I was actually looking at an old recipe somebody had been talking about that they used to make bread the same way with cornmeal, and oh, I love cornbread too, Sandy. I eat it hot, cold, day old, 2 day old, peanut butter, buttermilk. Just smear the stuff on the top of it, butter, syrup. Um, you know, uh, I was really proud when I did that video where I flipped the cornbread over and it didn't stick. It took me a long time to figure that out, and Shauna had to show me how to do it. Um, all these videos where I show you how to do all this, yeah, dunk it in milk or buttermilk, yeah. Um, she's been kind of teaching me how to do it. Now I still can't make gravy for nothing. That may be, and I can cook meat all day long, but what has always amazed me is that there are people who can cook a meal, 4 dishes, one, two, three, and this is completely off of the subject of the water. Like I said, I figured we'd talk about it for a half hour, and I was right. You can cook 4 dishes, one, two, three, four, and someone who is competent in the kitchen. I'm not going to say a woman because that would be sexist. Um, because I'm learning how to do that too. To me, that's a skill. Someone who is competent in the kitchen can make these 4 different densities and textures come out hot at the same time. What? How do you do that? That's freaking magic to me. Um, that's you know, that's the equivalent of lighting all the birthday candles and nobody's in the room. You got to call everybody in, and all the birthday candles are melted. Well, you screwed up at that point. Called dovetail. You'll have to tell me about dovetail, Sandy. I don't know what you're talking about. Is the fact that you're dovetailing everything in to come out at the same time, maybe? Um, but it always just impressed me. Those aren't the Georgia. Looking forward to drinking some right now. Stay in the kitchen enough, and you learn how. Yes, yeah, absolutely. And it just always amazed me. And even the hooch and I will be in the kitchen doing something. making a vegetable stew. And she'll say, well, we need to partially cook these potatoes so everything will be done at the same time, and so the potatoes won't be mush. I'm like, okay, how long do you cook them? And she says, well, just till they're about halfway done. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, what's halfway done? The fork goes through it halfway. So now I'm chasing numbers, looking for something. And she says, no, you just halfway. I'm like, okay. Um, Obviously, I haven't done it enough. Guys, I have to tell you, I have burned a whole lot of food learning what little I know about cooking. And um, shooting a gun, going out one day to the range and shooting and cooking a good recipe, about on the same level for me. Um, to me, that's just, I've told everybody that would listen, back when they cared that, about what I said in articles and stuff. I haven't had to shoot a zombie, but I've had to eat every day for 55 years. And so, by God, you better learn how to cook something in addition to learning how to shoot a gun. People don't like that. Absolutely, Doc. I'd like to borrow and take some pictures of that recipe book that you have. I meant to get razors today. I'm out of town still, guys. I meant to get razors and do like a big old walrus. But I just, obviously, it's been so long since I bought razors. Razors are like $15 a pack now. You said you said Jane had a recipe book. But I was like, I'm just not going to waste the money doing that. I've got bags of them at the house, so I figured. Mountain Man, yes. Harry's razors, yes. I use Shaving Club for Men. What was it? Dollar Shave Club. I think I have the Campbell Cookbook. I Dollar Shave Club. That's what it was. And I've got you know a, a box of them, and I was thinking, well, I just need to shave up because I do look homeless because people look at me, and I had no idea they were that expensive because I've been buying them. You buy a 4-pack with a Dollar Shave Club, and then you double the order every month, and you do it for 5 years, and you just throw them in a box. And so now I've got like 70 or 80 just heads. 'Cause I don't shave that often anyway. Um, but all right, guys, we are at 58 minutes, and we have deviated off of task once again. And I've enjoyed it though, because talking about water filtration and purification is one of the most mind-numbing things I have done. Holy cow. You want to talk about hydroponics? I geek out on that. You want to talk about planting? You can talk about germination, forcing plants. I'm into that. Filtering water? Jesus. It's necessary. I'll be home theoretically Friday. And so this is all recovering from that long freeze that we had. I'm still recovering. Uh, Clara's Kitchen, yes, dude. Ah, man, I cried. I cried when she passed away. Um, yes. And her grandson is still doing the videos. No, she won't. Of course, I got all the whiskers now. But Clara's Kitchen, guys, if you want a treat, go to Clara's Kitchen, um, and it's something like Clara's Kitchen Depression Cooking, and watch her. She was a really sweet lady, and she cooked for her kids and her grandkids, and her grandkids kept telling her to, you need to do a YouTube channel, and so she finally did, and it made it pretty big, and she died. She passed away. She was in her, she's almost 100. Um, and she grew up in the Depression, and a lot of her recipes, I take notes from her stuff, and then I try to make different things from that. Her poor man's meal, yes, yes, her yes, Hodges, poor man's meal. Um, she was just the sweetest lady, and her grandson got on there, and they've continued to do it. And another really good one is uh, is Jim Foreman. He died 2 years ago, I believe it was, and he and his wife. I mean, he was a Korean War veteran, an airplane pilot. He's decorated war veteran. Um, Rode cross country bikes, you know, competitively across the United States. Jim Foreman, and some of his recipes, I have taken them and used them as well. And his son has continued to run his channel. But look up Jim Foreman. Jim Foreman is from Texas, so you'll see a Texas flag. You know, God bless America, God bless Texas. It's what he says at the ends of it, something like that. Um, and he took care of his wife. His wife was in the assisted living with him, and took care of his wife until the day she died. And he actually did the video the day after. I mean, guys, it will break your heart watching these two people. Um, and Jim's son got on there and did a video and looks just like him except 50 years younger, and said, Dad just said he was tired and didn't want to wake up and wanted to be with Frida. I think Frida was her name. And he said, so he went to sleep and didn't wake up. And he said, so I'm here and I'm going to keep his channel going. And I think you got to go look at uh, Clara's Kitchen and go look up Jim Foreman. And these were quiet giants. Um, but they were pretty good people. And I know, again, I know, you know, talking about this kind of stuff, it won't be well received by other people out there. Um, but that's some good stuff. Thank you, Hodges. That was really cool. You knocked it out of the park with that one, dude. Um, you done good, brother. Um, I'll probably have to go watch a couple of her things. But yeah, uh, the poor man's meal, and the cabbage steaks, and all kinds of stuff, and just cooking with eggs and everything. Um, BC Truck, he does a lot of cool stuff like that. Um, with his back when he was doing omelets, eggs, he was cooking with eggs all the time. He makes knives, but everybody's got to eat, and he was doing all those with the eggs, and that's one of the things that really got me into starting doing all the cooking, because besides the fact that half the people with all, half the big old husky people who have all the guns and all that stuff and have all these channels and want to show you how to do all this stuff can't cook the damn beans and rice that they stored. And to me, that's again, you got to eat. You better learn how to cook. Yeah, yeah, Hodges. I'm gonna quit talking. I'm at an hour and 5 minutes. I really meant to continue on with the water purification, but 30 minutes into that, like I said, that to be talking about water, that's the driest damn subject I can think of. I'd rather talk about paint. Anyway, guys, you take care. Be careful. Watch those two channels, Jim Foreman and Clara's Kitchen. You will be in tears. Watch one other thing. Watch Wartime Garden, based off of World War II. That's from a BBC broadcast. That will make you think about stuff. Take care of your people. Take care of each other. See ya.